Hi, thanks for stopping by my channel, Irene's Paper Addiction. Today I have a fun title technique for you. I'm going to be building a pop-up title. So I have some pictures from a recent trip to Cambria, which is on the Central Coast here in California. We had gone for a wedding, and our hotel or inn that we stayed at was right across the street from the beach. I mean, literally a stone's throw away. Beach was Moonstone Beach, so no pun intended, but I mean, you could open up the door and listen to the waves crash at night. It was amazing. So they had all these really great driftwood structures that people built. And then they had some really great, birds and what have you. And then I was really excited about this picture because could never have taken this if I tried to do this on my own. So totally coincidental. So I got this really funny bird with that super long beak. And then right above it, I captured a seagull. So thought that was pretty cool. So what I'd like to do is I want to build up a title that kind of looks like ocean waves. So I'm going to be doing like 3 layers. So this is cloud cover, balmy blue, and crumb cake. And I'm going to be using the light side. So we've got the dark and the light of all 3 of them. So I'm going to cut each one of these down to about a 2-inch strip, and then I'm going to build them up. So let me cut these down real quick, and I'll start showing you my technique. I cut each strip of paper down to 2 inches by 12, and I'm going to be tearing each of them. So if you're going to tear paper that is white core and you want to see the white core, you want to tear towards you. So I have my light side up, and I'm just going to tear about a 1/4 inch off, and this gives me, kind of looks like the waves, the foam on the waves. So I'm trying to kind of replicate or capture that. So I'm going to tear these all down super quick, super easy. There's no right, no wrong way. So, and then the harder or bigger you tear, you can actually tear some more into it, but I'm going to try to keep it not too huge. So, okay, got one down. Again, light side, and just tear down. I love going to the coast. Where I live, we are about an hour away from the coast, so we get to go out as often as we like. But there's just something about, for me, going to the coast and being able to, walk barefoot in the sand, regardless of how warm or cold the water is, because the water where I live is not that warm most all year round. But it's still, there's something, for me, it just kind of feeds the soul and makes me feel really, really good. So I'm going to do this one because it got a little messy when I cut it. So, but yeah, so I had to definitely get down there. Like I said, I made my husband stop on the way back from town, drop me off so I could go walk on the beach, and get my feet in the water. So, alrighty, here we've got those all cut down, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some glue dots. These are just these refastenable, or they're just temporary. And so I want to start building this at about 3.5 inches. So just with this one, I want a little bit of glue dot just to hold it in place. And then the other ones I will adhere on top of it as I go down. This way this one won't move. So I'm going to put that one in. I'm going to grab some adhesive. And then I'm going to take this one, and I'm only going to add my adhesive up about, I don't know, about 1/3 of the way down from where I tore it, because once I'm ready to adhere it down, I can put it onto my paper. But if I'm going to die cut this, and I don't want it to stick to the mat when I die cut it. So I just want to make sure I have enough adhesive just to hold it till I can get it cut. And that when I cut it, my letters stay in place. So I'm going to do something like that. And then we'll just come back, and if we need to add a little more glue, we will do that. So I'm going to come down about 1 inch for that one. And then again, with the crumb cake, add a little bit on the ends just to hold it in place. And then just down the center. I might want to take the These, and I might want to play with them a little bit, so I'm not going to bring it all the way up. This one I'm going to bring down to about, I think about 1.5 inches, give or take, and then anything else I can trim off. So let me show you. I'm going to be using the party alphabet dies. So I'm going to be bringing those in to cut my title out. These are those really huge alphabets, and I'm going to do the word beach. So let me pull out those letters that I need real quick. Just come on 2 sheets because they are so large. They're over 2 inches tall, 2¼ inches tall, so they're huge. So I'm just going to line these up onto my waves. I'm going to take the A, because that's going to be my center letter, and I'm going to just center it right about there, so it's going to hit all 3 colors. And then I'm going to come in fact, I'm going to bring in a ruler, just make sure that I am straight here all the way across. So once I'm good with the A, I'm going to bring in the other letters. H, I'm not quite sure if the H should go this way or that way, so I'm going this way. But I guess that's open to interpretation. And then I'm just going to try to get them as evenly balanced. E is a little odd too, but I know that has to go that way. That one, there's no option. So we're going to put those down like that. And I just want to make sure that I am about a little less than 2 inches. So this is 1, 2. So that looks pretty evenly spaced. I'm going to bring in some washi tape, or any low tack tape will work. And I'm going to adhere these down so that they stay in place when I lift them up to bring them over to my die cut machine, because I don't want them to move. So get those up, see, like that. Let's bring that back up and line the one back up again. Just like that. Hold it in place this time, and then just attach them all the way down. And this is going to give us the look of waves on our letters. 2 of those done, and just get the H down. All right, just like that. So let me take this over to the die cut machine and get that cut out, and I'll be right back. This is what I end up with once I die cut out all the letters. As you can see, they just fit in perfectly like that. You're going to save all of the little centers, because we're going to use those when we build our title. So put the B in, and then this one goes down here. Got the blue. Oops, it goes that way. And then we have the center of the A. So you got to be careful not to lose those. They are small. What I did next, while I was off camera, is that I took the same letters and I die cut those out of white about, I think I did 3 layers, and I glued them all together. So what I want to do is so that they're more rigid, because I want to pop them up, I want them to have a little bit more rigidity. I'm going to take these and just with some Barely Art glue or whatever glue you have, you just come back in. You have to do it with glue. Tape runner will not work, because there is just absolutely no way you're going to perfectly lay that down without having to move it. So the glue gives you some wiggle time, and then you could just keep adjusting it, just trying to hide the white, and then you have a really nice thick letter. So we're going to glue down these other letters real quick, and then I will show you. I want to start with the title, because I think that that's really going to be my main focus of this layout. So I'm going to get that done, and then we can work around the title as we build our layout up. I did have a few of these that lifted up a little bit because I didn't have enough adhesive. Just came back in with a little bit of the Barely Art glue and just, you know, got in behind there and then just put a little glue in there and just held it down and got that all tacked back into place so everything is nice and flat. Trying to keep the glue off my fingers. See how quickly those build up? And this glue is great. You just wipe it off, you're not going to see it. Get just 2 more real quick. And then I'm also going to take, I think, because I really want them to be pronounced, I want them to pop up a lot, I'm going to take Dimensionals when I go to build the title on the layout and pop them up just ever so slightly more. I mean, you could always build your Dimensionals and do 2 or 3 or however many you want, but I think I'm just going to build them up by 1 more layer, and that way it will pop off of the background enough that you will notice. All righty. Oops. Got a rogue letter there. All righty. So there we go. So quick, easy, glue dries quick. So I'm super happy with that. So let me clear these out, let those dry for a moment or so, and I'm going to bring in the other papers. Got to make sure I don't lose my centers. Real quick, let me move this aside, and I'm going to bring in the Country Woods paper because it is the beach. I think that this is, you know, weathered, and I want to kind of keep it, you know, subdued. I don't want a whole lot of bright colors, though, you know, the blue is the brightest it's going to get. I'm actually going to be bringing in some white cardstock to build this on. Let me go grab some real quick. Alrighty, let's scooch this out real quick. I'm going to place this down. I wanted to save as much of this Country Woods as I could because this is all I have. There is actually a lighter piece that I think would have looked better, but I didn't have enough. I only had a few or small pieces left of it, so not enough to do the whole background. So, but I think this one will work fine. I like the wood tones. I think that's going to go great with the ocean layout. So we have that there. Let's bring in the title block. That's going to go right here. And while I was off camera, I did create one more section for over here so that the ocean waves cross from left to right. So I'm going to, I think I want to adhere this down really quick, both of these, and then we could start building up the rest of the title, and then we can go from there. Let me get that adhered down. I added those foam dimensionals to the back of all my letters, and they actually fit. If I turn them the right way, they fit perfectly. You're just going to, you could add a little bit of glue, oops, just to give you a little bit of wiggle room, but they line up pretty easy. You can line them up with the paper that you had cut it out of and just line them up. But again, a little glue just gives you a little float time. And I think you could see just the shadow and the dimension. Now we're going to bring in our little centerpieces, and I'm just going to use, let me grab this one little tiny one. There we go. I'm just going to use some glue. I'm just going to drop it in, and I'm going to just try to just spread it out a little bit. And then with any luck, we're going to just bring that straight down in there. And with the glue, we'll be able to move it around. Excuse my head if it's in the way, but I think we can just line that up perfectly. The bees are going to be a lot easier. Put in a little glue. Let's pick up the correct sides. This one will go up on top. Bring it straight down, and again, with the glue, you have the float time. And we have just the last brown one. Drop that in. There you go. And that's how you fill in those blanks. I'm going to bring in a little bit of Wink of Stella, and just, I think, just a little bit along where these waves are. I'm just going to add a little bit of that just to give it a little sparkle. Make sure it's coming out enough. I don't want too much, just a little. And we're just gonna do that along just where all the, looks like the waves are, but just on the letters. So I'll get that done. There we go. And that just looks like when the foam is kind of shimmery. Alrighty. Did have a couple of places where you, I don't know if it's the adhesive or for my hands. So this is also helping to hide a little bit of that. So let me do this real quick. Oh, let me finish the top letters off camera real quick, and then we'll start embellishing. Now that we've got our title done and our waves to the right on the other page, I'm just going to lay out my photos the way I think that they're going to look good. I'm going to do these two, which are, let me see, easiest way for me to measure over here, 4 by about 5 1/4. So those are both the same size. I'm going to overlap those slightly. And then these, I think, are all 3 by 4s. So I've got several of the ones with the driftwood. I like the bird a lot. I have another one of the bird. So we're going to put those there. Then we have a view of the ocean. You could just see the fog out there. The mornings were incredibly foggy, which is something we're accustomed to where I live, but I don't live exactly on the beach, so I don't see it on the water all the time. So, but by the afternoons, it was absolutely gorgeous. You see again the fog. And then I'm going to, I think I'm going to put this one down here, and then maybe this one here. So it's like a little stair step. We'll put an embellishment cluster maybe up here and over here. We'll see, maybe 1, 2, 3, something like that. So then I have my journaling that I will need to add. So I have a couple of trays of goodies. Let me bring those in here real quick. I've got some seaweed and some coral, and these are from the Ocean Friends. So you have the stamps that are, open that up, the stamps that are the 2-step stamping, where you have the solid image and then you will have an outline image. And I did do some crabs that way, and they have a lobster and a couple of sentiments and some other seaweeds and what have you. And then I used this one here, which is really coral, but kind of looks like driftwood. So I'm going to make that driftwood in a couple of these seaweed pieces. So I'm thinking I want to have, over on this side, I'm going to have to cut it down to get it down there. So let's do that real quick. Well, no, let's not. We're going to lay this down because I'm going to build the name Moonstone here. So Moonstone Beach, because that's where we were at. I have, like I said, a couple of crabs here in California. Where I live, we have Dungeness, but we're going with blue crab. Not found here on the West Coast, but we're going with that. So let me pull out, I'm going to do my title actually. I cut it out in a couple of colors, but I'm going to do it with the darker side of the Balmy blue. So let me get that out of my tray here. Put those all in the same little bucket. There we go. So I'm just going to build up Moonstone over here, and that way I will know exactly where to cut my circle, and I won't go too short. So I'll do that. Oops, there's another O. And this alphabet here is the mini alphabet, the one that comes all on one sheet. You get alphabet soup when you're done, because that is what I have. I try hard to use them all, but can't seem always to have enough letters, and then I end up cutting a whole lot more. So I have a big tray of them. So something like that. And again, like I said, I'm going to tuck it underneath. We'll build that up with some of this seaweed and some of the coral. And I did these all in the light and dark side of cloud cover and Balmy blue. And then these are crumb cake. And again, I did both the light and the dark just to give it a little bit of dimension. You could see that there is a color difference. So let's lift that up and slide a little bit underneath there. We'll add a couple pieces of seaweed. I have them in different lengths and different colors. Definitely need to add a crab, because even though we didn't see crab, I think they look cute there. And then just going to build it up just with a little bit more of the seaweed. And then on top of it, I also die cut out some little starfish. And these ones are out of pecan pie again, light and dark. We'll see stars. Figure we could add them throughout here. We can even add some down here by the title, or even in our waves here. I think that would look cute. I did notice that I am a touch crooked. I might try to hide that a little bit and maybe just add, I don't know, maybe a crab here or there, and just kind of add another tiny cluster. We could break these up. Here, I think I have a small piece here, and we could just build a small cluster here with the crab and kind of hide that just a touch. And then I want to build another cluster over here. I'm just going to use my photo as a landing spot. Add another crab. I think actually maybe even overlap the photos. I think that might look cute. There's not much you're hiding. Let me see. I think I want the picture to go this way. So I had to have a picture of me with my feet in the water. So, and let's pull in a couple more seaweed pieces. I know the colors are not traditional. In fact, when I pulled out the paper pack that goes with this Stampin' Die set, it does have red crab, but then it has pink lobsters and blue squid, and that's where I got the idea. I'm just going to do, you know, coordinating blue colors, because I think that would look really cute, regardless of whether or not it made 100% sense or not. So just a couple more here, a couple of small ones, and then I'm thinking we'll do one more little cluster here, and that will give me room for my my journaling block just about there. So let's build up another small one. We can again use our picture as our landing spot. We'll go light and dark on this side. Let's see. Let's take in a small one. This one I did cut off, so thinking even if we brought it over to the edge, and let's go with this one. I don't know if that's going to work. Let's bring this in, tuck that underneath. You could bring in another circle. I do have a small one. It isn't the same color, but that is, I think, pecan pie, the light side. So yeah, so we could bring in a pecan pie one up here as well. I like that, I think. And we might need to stamp out, well, maybe we don't need to stamp out another crab. Maybe 3 crabs are enough. And then maybe bring in a couple of sentiment strips or something, just to add a little bit more to it. So there we go. So I'm liking that so far. Let me start adhering some of this down, and then we can bring in some bling and my journaling, and we'll go from there. I got most of my embellishments, actually I got all of my embellishments glued down. I created my journaling block and I just mounted that on the light side of the Balmy blue. And check out my cute little crabs. I didn't explain to you how I did those, but they are done just in Balmy blue. So I did use my Misty, and I stamped the solid impression of the crab. But first I stamped off and then I stamped onto the paper, so it's second generation. And then I came back in with full strength Balmy blue for the outline. So that is just the same color, just stamped off. I do feel I have a few little holes left. I want to add in a few couple things. I'm thinking, to me this is looking a little plain, since I really have the focus here on my title, but I'm thinking if I just brought in a little bit more of this coral, let's see, maybe this one on top, we could fill in this spot, and that might look better. Just give it a little bit of a presence. Let me see if I have a bunch of little pieces left. I've been tearing it apart and filling in my clusters. I got a little tiny one here. Let's see if that one will work. Let's see. I just think it needs just a little bit something down here. Let's tear that off and we'll just tuck a little bit underneath. It's the beauty of these. You can just, tear everything up and rebuild it the way it will work for you. So something like that, I'm thinking. I like the way that looks. And I think there's a little hole there. So I'm going to, bring in another piece of seaweed. So let's just glue that down real quick. Just slide that underneath. And I think that kind of fills that hole. I have a sentiment strip here that I created. It just says, "Love this place." This is from the, let's see, it is from the Weekend Adventure. So just a little sentiment. I think this needs a little more. I think we had enough crabs, so I thought maybe I should just make a little sentiment. That's also in Balmy blue, so I've used really just Balmy blue, cloud cover, and crumb cake for the most part. A little bit extras here and there, but otherwise I've kept it pretty simple. So let's glue these little guys down and get those secured. And just, just a little bit of the Barely Art glue. It doesn't take much. Luckily it dries clear, so when you do get a little bit where you don't want it, just wipe it off. And then let's just put this other little tiny one down. I do have some of those little starfish that I did punch out or die cut out that I think I'm going to use like bling. So instead of putting any bling down, I think I'm going to use these. I put a couple down there and I really liked the way that looked. I ended up adding my Wink of Stella on all the white edges of my waves. So I really like the Wink of Stella. So let's add a couple of these little starfish, and that will probably complete our layout. So I'm just thinking I'm just going to put a few. I like the light ones on the Country Woods paper. You can see it. When I put the darker ones on it, they kind of disappear. So I'm going to try to keep the lighter ones here. Maybe a couple darker ones on this side. We'll just attach that down with some glue real quick. Maybe a couple more up here as well. Not going to do too many, just a few. Or maybe just, maybe we'll take a couple dark ones and stick them like right in there, because that way they'll show up where they weren't before. add, let's see, a couple. Yeah, let's add a couple over here. Let's find a little spot. I only have 3 more left. Might as well use them up. Let's see, maybe we'll put the 2 light ones up here. And I think that is, it's another light one. Awesome. So we'll just, something like that. Let's see if we can just tuck him in there. That kind of fills that little hole as well. And maybe we'll put one in there, something like that. So let's glue those down real quick. They're just gonna take a touch of glue and we'll replace our bling. Very quick. Really happy with the way this came together. It's just a very, really, I don't want to say monotone, but a very simple color palette. I think just lends itself so well to that beach vibe. I really like that. Put that one in there. Oopsies. And I'll just bring everything in for you to, oopsies, that's a big one to see. And like usual, I will list everything I use down below in the description box, just in case you're interested in any of the products. All right, last one. Get that tucked in. All righty. Let me bring it in real close for you to see. I don't know if you can see that shimmer from the Wink of Stella on the waves, and the way that the title just pops right off of the page. These cute little blue crabs, they are just adorable. And just I'm really happy with, you know, I want to say it's monochromatic. It's you know, it's just a very simple color palette. Just, I think it's perfect for the beach. So really happy how that all turned out. If you liked my video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. And I'll leave everything that I used in the description as well. I'll see you again soon here on YouTube. Have a good day. Bye-bye.